Sex on the first date? Why wait when you can get to the good stuff right away? Let's be real for a second. In the ever-changing swipe right, swipe left digital dating chaos of the 21st century, there's one burning question that refuses to die. How many dates should you wait before you get down to business? The debate rages on with as much passion as the characters in your favorite trashy reality TV show, but why not add a little humor and controversy to the mix? After all, who doesn't love stirring the pot when it comes to sex? The bold move, sex on the first date. Let's kick things off with the thrill seekers, the daredevils, the modern-day Casanovas who swear by the motto, why wait? These guys argue that if you've got the chemistry, you've got the opportunity, then why not seize it? They'll tell you it's like finding a $100 bill on the sidewalk. You don't just leave it there, right? These modern players believe that the first date is your one shot to set the tone and let her know you're not messing around. Now, I know what you're thinking. Isn't this a bit too forward? Maybe. But these guys aren't just trying to score. They're on a mission to make sure they don't get stuck in the dreaded friend zone. They believe that if you don't make your move on the first date, you're basically signing up for a lifetime supply of let's just be friends texts. And honestly, they've got a point. If you're spending all your time trying to be the nice guy, you might just end up being the guy who's left out in the cold. So if you're feeling brave and maybe a little reckless, go ahead and give it a shot. Worst case scenario, you'll have a good story to tell your friends. The pragmatic approach, sex on the second date. Now, if you're not the type to dive headfirst into the deep end, you might prefer to play it a bit cooler. Enter the second date strategy, brought to you by the more calculated, methodical types who know how to balance anticipation with action. This is where you'll find the guys who aren't in a rush, but aren't trying to play the long game either. These guys argue that by the second date, you've built enough rapport to move things to the next level without coming across as too eager. It's a strategy that's all about playing it smooth, keeping things interesting, and making sure you're not wasting your time. After all, who wants to spend weeks whining and dining only to realize that there's no spark? But here's the kicker. These guys are masters of the tease. They'll leave the first date with just enough flirtation to keep her guessing, then swoop in on the second date to seal the deal. It's a strategy that takes a bit more patience, but hey, good things come to those who wait, right? The traditional route, sex on the third date. The infamous 3-date rule. You know the one. It's the dating equivalent of the 90-day probation period at a new job. Somewhere along the line, someone decided that 3 dates were the magic number, and suddenly, everyone was on board. But let's be honest, this rule is about as arbitrary as the time you need to spend on a treadmill to burn off that slice of pizza. Why 3 dates? Why not 2 or 4? The truth is, it's just another example of societal programming designed to make us all feel better about our decisions. Proponents of the 3-date rule will tell you that waiting until the third date shows respect, builds anticipation, and proves that you're not just in it for a quick fling. But come on, if you're both adults and you're both into it, does it really matter if it's the first date, the second, or the third? Let's not kid ourselves. By the time the third date rolls around, you're either all in or you're just going through the motions. The slow and steady gang. Sex on the 4th date or later. Now we're getting into the territory where things start to get a little murky. The 4th date and beyond is where you'll find the traditionalists, the over 33 crowd, and the folks who are still holding on to the belief that sex is something you save for someone, quote, special. These are the people who will tell you that waiting 4 dates or more is the key to building a meaningful connection. But let's be real, how many people actually make it to the 4th date without already knowing where things are headed? The truth is, if you're still waiting for sex by the 4th date, you're either incredibly patient, incredibly traditional, or you're being led on by someone who's just not that into you. Sure, some people will argue that waiting is a sign of maturity, that it shows you're serious about finding a long-term partner. But come on, this isn't 1950, and we're not living in a black and white movie. We're adults, and if there's chemistry, why wait? Life's too short to play by someone else's rules. The final frontier, sex, when the stars align, or never. Then there are those rare individuals who are in it for the long haul, the ones who will make you wait weeks, months, or even until marriage before they're willing to take things to the next level. These people aren't just playing hard to get. They've built an impenetrable wall around themselves, and it's going to take more than a few charming texts to break it down. These folks will tell you that they're waiting for the right moment, that they're looking for something deeper, more meaningful. And sure, that's great if you're into that sort of thing. But let's not forget that there's a fine line between waiting for the right moment and just plain avoiding it. For some, it's about trauma, past experiences, or just plain fear. For others, it's a matter of principle, something they've convinced themselves is the right thing to do. But if you're the one on the receiving end of this wait, it might be time to ask yourself, how long am I willing to wait for someone who might never be ready? Conclusion, choose your adventure. Just make sure it's yours. So, there you have it. Your guide to navigating the wild world of dating and deciding when to get down to business. Whether you're the bold first date type, the cool and calculated second date strategist, or the traditional third date believer, the key is to do what feels right for you. Just remember, there's no one-size-fits-all answer to this question. Whether you're ready to dive in on the first date or you're holding out for the fourth, the most important thing is to be true to yourself and your own desires. After all, dating is supposed to be fun, not a test you have to pass. So go ahead, make your move. Just make sure it's the one you want to make. And if anyone tries to tell you there's a right or wrong way to do it, feel free to laugh in their face. Because at the end of the day, the only rule that really matters is this: do what makes you happy and let the rest fall into place.